Hello, this is Raymond Aaron with Advent number 8. 8? We're halfway from 1 to 16. My wife gave me this idea in December. Kids like to open up a day of the month of December and get a little chocolate. So she told me to do an educational chocolate, and that's this. I want to teach you something from the goodness of my heart with no hidden agenda, with no sell at the end. This is not a drip campaign where at the end I sell you something. No. It just is. It just, from the kindness of my heart, in the spirit of December, I want to give you the gift of education. And then this one is on study. And I find that I studied a lot before I was 39, but I studied stuff that didn't particularly help me much. I studied math and physics, and it didn't help me much. And I know if you need an education to get a degree, if you want to be a nurse or a medical doctor or a pilot, then you have to study that stuff. But once you get out of school, stop. You can't stop. Once you get out of school, you can't stop. If school was so important to get you what you needed to get into your career or get you the wisdom that you needed, then you have to keep getting wisdom because the world is changing and changing and changing and changing so fast. It's changing so fast. I remember that a friend of mine, Ted, he was a dentist, and he decided to take 5 years off from dentistry because his back hurt. Anyways, after 5 years, I said to him, "Are you going to go back, reenact your license and go back?" And he said, "If I go back now without re-educating myself, I would be sued for malpractice because dentistry has changed so much in 5 years that I don't even know how to practice. All the adhesions, all the drills, they're all different." And that's happening in every single field, in every single field, in every single field. And so you have two options. One is don't study, get left behind. And the other is study and excel and get ahead of the curve. Because the curve is moving. And if you stay still, even if you're ahead of the curve will pass you. So if you're ahead of the curve, you have to keep studying because the curve is moving. The curve is moving ahead. Now, let's talk about companies that decided not to study. They decided not to learn. Blockbuster. Blockbuster said, people will always want to drive to a store and walk around and choose which movie they want. They will always want to do it. There's no other way. We are Blockbuster. That's it. They're now bankrupt. There's lots of companies that decided life couldn't change, and they're gone. They're just gone. BlackBerry there was no other cell phone. I mean, there were other cell phones, but hardly anyone ever used them. BlackBerry was basically the only cell phone that there was. And it was respected so much that it had its own heroin-esque nickname, Crackberry, because people were so addicted to it. And then the iPhone came out 10 years late, 10 years too late, and crushed BlackBerry because BlackBerry decided not to change. They had a tiny weensy screen and big raised, easy to, like tactile buttons, so it's easy to use. And BlackBerry said nothing could be better than that. Except iPhone knew that people wanted to watch YouTube on their cell phone, and you can't watch YouTube on a tiny little BlackBerry screen. And BlackBerry, well, it's not gone, but it got crushed by about 95%. And in all fields, taxi drivers, for gosh sakes, who could have thought that a taxi driver's job was in jeopardy? Taxi driver, you have a guy driving a vehicle. How can anything disrupt a guy driving a vehicle with a taxi sign on it? And Uber came along, and limo companies and taxi companies are going bankrupt all around the world, all around the world. So, you must study. What should you study? Well, study in your field and also study transformational wisdom, study spirituality, study any topic that excites you. If you love giraffes, go study giraffes. Like, study. That's got to be the hallmark of your life. I take lots of courses. I take 10 to 15 days of courses a year. I take about 20 full days of coaching. Full days of coaching. I'm not talking about an hour of coaching. I'm talking about a full day of coaching, from very expensive coach provider, and 10 to 15 such days or 20 days every year. I study lots of books. And you see, when you're born, you're naked and you don't know anything. You're naked and you don't know anything. Okay, then anybody can get dressed, but in order to know stuff, you have to keep studying because the world is changing. My sweet daughter once asked me, what is the best thing for me to study in school? And I said, the content doesn't matter. You have to learn how to learn. You have to learn how to learn. And you have to be nimble and adaptable because you'll likely change careers 10 times in your life. Because I've changed my career. Oh my gosh, I've changed my career many times. I was a private eye. I distributed cosmetics. I imported foreign sports cars. I manufactured soft drinks. Oh my gosh. I had a small chain of women's weight-reducing salons. I am a professional speaker. I'm an author. My God, there's like 10 careers in my life so far. And so you have to study in order to keep up. Study, 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 study. That's the deal. And if you want books, I don't want to, I was thinking of giving a list of books. If you didn't download that book, Message to Garcia, go do that now. Message to Garcia. It's free at Gutenberg, Gutenberg.org. I don't get a royalty. It's free. It takes 15 minutes to read. Go do that. Study something. Just decide what you love and go study it. And tune in tomorrow for the next Advent.